Hi, everyone. This is Shannon Kinney. I'm the founder and client success officer at Dream Local Digital. And I want to welcome you to our last edition of the Online Marketing Academy powered by Moxie Hub in Lisbon, Maine. Our mission with this course was to really help you over the past 6 months to write your own marketing plan and to increase your online marketing skills. So great job. Now, I wanted to quickly just see and hit me up in the chat if you'd like, if you had any questions on your homework from last month. And as a refresher, what your homework was to create a list of content ideas that you wanted to explore that will wow your audience. And don't forget the 3 lists. And for those of you who are trying to remember the 3 lists, you can look at last month's webinar for that. Decide where you want to share your message, create and publish one post, and measure your results. It does not look like we have any questions from last month's homework. If you do have questions and you need to hit up, let me know. But for now, I'll jump into session 6, which is pulling it all together. So here are links to our previous 5 decks. This deck will get sent out to you along with the recording of today's session. And here are the ones that we covered. We did create your marketing plan, optimizing your online presence, how to show up in search engines, success on social media, and building loyalty and engagement with great content. So as a summary of those, in month 1, when we were talking about the marketing plan, we looked at, building that plan, but also what is your brand promise? We talked about what is your why. Month 2, we looked at showcasing your business and optimizing your online presence. And we talked about your website and Google My Business, social media channels, listings, and other areas. Month 3, we talked about how search engines work in plain English and what you can do to show up. In month 4, we looked at social media and many ways that you could be really successful on social media. In month 5, we did build loyalty with engagement and great content, and we looked at several different types of great content. And then today is about pulling it all together. So just to dive in, I'm going to touch on a couple of the items from each of the other sessions, just so you can sort of reflect on everything that you've learned over the past 6 months and really think about which areas you want to apply to your own marketing going forward. So when it came to creating your marketing plan, I know all of you are super busy. I totally get that. And but I can tell you that having a plan actually saves you time, because it means you know what marketing are you going to do, where, when, and why. So important to know that. So a plan is really going to help you know your goals, to set some priorities, and where are you going to reach your customer and how, with what messaging. And some questions that you can ask yourself really when you're thinking about this is, what is the reason I started my business? What's my reason for existence? What sets my business apart? Out of all the things my business has, what's most important to my ideal customer when they're buying what I'm selling? What are the top 3 things to get me there? How much will each program contribute to my revenue or profitability? What will trigger my ideal customer to think of me? Programs to run to reach your goal, what money you need to get it done, and most importantly, what does success look like to you? Is it a bigger audience, an email list, sales, reservations? Think about that, and that can really inform your goals and your marketing plan. Also, we talked about bringing all your assets together. So your website, your business cards, your signs, your brochures, making sure that they all have a unified look and feel, a unified voice, and that they really represent you well. And make changes and updates where you need to. And then it's what's your story? Like, this is really where we dove in and thought about like, what is it that makes a great story? And remember, your customer is the hero of the story. And so the universal story points are, who's the hero or the character? That's your customer. They have a problem. They meet a guide, which is you. And that guide has a plan that calls them to take some action, helps them avoid failure, and helps them win, right? So this is really the universal story of your marketing. So think about how you help your hero, the customer, to avoid failure and end in success. All right. So that was month one. It was an intense class. For those of you who remember it, we were in person in Lisbon, really pulling it all together. And we had a lot of great questions from that session. You can reflect back on the video if you'd like to see more detail. In the second month, we talked about optimizing your presence to really showcase your business. And that was about, like, out of all of your assets in your presence, like, what needs to be updated, what can you do yourself, and where should you get some help? How do all of your assets tell a story and speak to your target customer, or your who? And are they consistent? Like, we were really looking at that. And for many of you, that seems a little bit overwhelming. Like, there was a lot there. And so we talked about priority setting and setting SMART goals, which are a specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, relevant, and time bound. That's what a SMART goal is. We helped you each set some SMART goals and see where you can have the greatest impact, because all of you have to set priorities. Like, none of us can do all the things that we need to do. I have a stack a mile long of different marketing messages I have to do for my business. And so I get how hard it is sometimes to fit it in. So focus on what's going to resonate the most with your audience and help you have the biggest impact. When it comes to getting all of your word out and your messages out, it's about going where your audience is, the right channels at the right time, making sure you can be found on search engines under keywords and phrases that somebody's looking for when they're looking for you. If you're using email, is that right for your customer base? Can it help you deepen loyalty? Should you be looking at any direct messaging? And really tailor and measure results by channel. Like, don't take something on unless you're prepared to measure it, because what you measure moves. And just a little cheat sheet on how to write SMART goals, which is something we went into quite a bit in month 2. As I said, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So you don't want to just say, I want to grow my sales this year. You want to say, I would like to grow sales of this product by 20% within the next 3 months, right? And that really shapes your activities and sets your priorities. So think about SMART goals on at least a quarterly basis, if not an annual basis, and then each month know what you're going to do to help you hit that goal. All right. Month 3 was when we looked at how to show up in search engines. And this was really about making sure that you understood how search engines worked. Like, there is a lot of tech involved there, but it doesn't have to be so mysterious. So we talked about what it meant. And then we also talked about how important it is. When you want to be found, 90% of searchers don't go past page 1. And 75% don't even scroll. So that means if you're not in the top 5, a lot of people don't even know you're there. So showing up in search under the words that are the most important to you is really something that you want to add to your goals and plan for. And mobile is a must. So your website has to work well on social media. On mobile for you to show up in search. So make sure that you've got a mobile-friendly website, that you know the keywords and phrases you want to show up under, and that you have some information on your site that meets those keywords and phrases. The next thing we talked about was local. So when you do a search and let's say you're looking for restaurants near me and you're in Lisbon, you'll get a map and it will show you several of the restaurants there. That's called local search. And 92% of searchers will pick the first one in local search. So really what's happening here is proximity. How far is that searcher from your business? Reviews are very important here. You want to have some reviews on Google and make them be good ones. If you happen to get a bad one, just make sure you're drowning it in some good ones. You want to make sure your website is listed on several different directories, that you have keywords in your business title, and that you've registered your Google My Business page. And we went into all of that in more detail in month 2. Definitely reflect back on that deck or that recording if you've got some questions about that. But that will help you understand what you have to do to show up in search engines. Now, in the next month, we looked at the 4 steps to master social media. We looked at identifying the best channels for you, and we went into detail about who was on what channel. You need professionally designed pages, and I showed you lots of examples of some. We need engaging content and pro tips by channel. So if you look back at that deck, I've got pro tips for Pinterest, pro tips for Instagram, pro tips for LinkedIn. And then you want to make sure you're listening and responding. So all of those were things that we covered, including speaking in their language for your customer and tailoring your message for the channels that you're on. So if you want to know more about social, definitely grab that deck and that recording. Now, in the next month, we really looked at engaging content in more detail. I showed you a lot of examples in the social media section, but we really wanted to look at what are some of the other ways that we can build loyalty through content. So we talked about blogs. Some of you have blogs on your website. Some of you were considering adding a blog. It's really one of the biggest ways that you can help your website show up well on search engines. Plus, there are useful tools for people who visit your website as well. So the real goal here is establish yourself as an authority and build trust, rapport, and engagement. Like, let people know, like, trust you through your blog, and cover keywords and phrases that you want to show up in under search. You also should be proactively answering questions that people ask on a regular basis. That's always the best place to start when it comes to making sure that you're answering what people need, but also that you're responding to what people are typing into search boxes. So here's an example from a mortgage company: what you need to know about refinancing. When should you refinance? That's a really big question that they get asked a lot. And they tackled it with a post that they did on their blog as well as on social. Now, when it comes to increasing engagement on social, in the social media section, we did talk about pro tips for engagement per channel. But when it comes to content generally, you really want to be thinking about knowing your audience and what motivates them. Time your posts when your followers are online. And the best way to do that is to test different times of day and then measure your response rates. Use aspirational imagery and post, I would say post regularly versus often, because people that are posting too often, like more than once a day, for example, is really too much for a business, especially on Facebook, because your posts will overwrite each other. And be really social and engage with your followers. Try to engage them in conversation whenever you can, and tag other companies and users when you can to expand your audience. All right, the next part of engaging content we looked at was email marketing. We talked quite a bit about the different types of email marketing, and you want to think about the right strategy for you. Is it a newsletter that you send out? Are you sending out offers or sales for e-commerce? Do you need a drip campaign, which means I sign up and then each week or every few days I get a sequence of messages? And is that something that maybe should be automated? Those are all things that we covered in that session. And you want to always be building your email list. When it came to tools, we talked about Constant Contact, MailChimp, and Active Campaign. There's also a ton of other tools as well, but those are just a few that we've worked with in the past. And then some of you, excuse me, might need like something a little bit more robust that can help you track a lot of information about your customers. And that might be a CRM or customer relationship management system. And a couple that we suggested that you look at that are affordable for small businesses and really have a lot of power include Keep, Go High Level, SharpSpring, and the Mac Daddy, but also the most expensive and powerful is HubSpot. When it comes to best practices for email, think of every subscriber as a potential lead. Like, don't send them tons and tons of messages all of the time. Make sure that you're really thoughtful about the messages that you send. Use strong subject lines with a clear call to action. Be consistent, but not overwhelming. And send earlier the day and not on Monday. Monday, everybody's overwhelmed just getting back to the office. So you want to make sure that you're sending early in the day, but not on Monday. All right, so now I'm going to get into what we wanted to talk about today also, which is really pulling it all together. And now that you've done all of those sessions before, you should have a marketing plan. At minimum, you should have the outlines of a marketing plan. I hope you went through a lot of the exercises. We gave you some great exercises to help you think about your business differently, to really think about what your messaging is, what your unique selling proposition is, what your brand promise is, how you are helping your customer solve their problems. And now that you've done all of that, you should have the structure of a marketing plan. Now what, right? Okay, you've been through 5 sessions, you've got a marketing plan, now what? Now it's time to look at the goals that you set, your SMART goals, and measure performance and progress to those goals. Here's just 6 ideas of things that you could and should be measuring. Excuse me. 1 is website traffic and where's it coming from? So if you're spending a lot of time on Facebook, for example, are you getting consistent traffic from Facebook to your website? And you can use Google Analytics to measure that. Conversions, are people signing up for my email list, calling me, booking an appointment, buying the product that you sell? Whatever it is that you're asking them to do, are they indeed converting? Number 3, your social media reach and engagement and how well your audience is growing there. And you can find all of that on your admin panels on the social media channels. Excuse me. Next is search ranking. If you're trying to increase your ranking on some specific keywords and phrases, look at where you rank, then start your work creating content on your blog, content on Google My Business, content on your website that helps match those keywords and terms, and then measure your progress. Are you starting to show up higher? Are you seeing movement? With email, you want to look at your open rates, your health of your list, like are a bunch of people unsubscribing because that's really bad, and your bounce rate, like how many people are clicking a link and then going, getting right out. You can measure that within the tool that you're using for your email, and also where traffic is coming to from your website, so website traffic. And finally, you want to be thinking about your overall return on investment of your time and your money. You know, how much time are you spending each week on your marketing? The average small business in the US is spending 8 hours a week. Like, guys, that's a whole day a week. And if you're not spending at least half of one of those, then you need to be thinking about whether or not you should look for some help to help you with your marketing. All right, and then I wanted to give you a couple of cheat sheets. This is one. I have 4 different slides in here that could be really good reference points for you when you're measuring results. And here's a little bit more detail on how to measure conversions, brand awareness and reputation. Are you seeing good reviews coming in? Are your customers satisfied? You want to look at revenue, website traffic, and estimated ad recall lift. Like, are people really remembering what your messaging is about. Are they engaging with your messaging? And that would help give you a sign that you've got some good results there. So other KPIs are traffic growth on your website, like where month over month, are you seeing more and more people there? Your visitor to lead conversion rate. So I have 1,000 visitors, but only one filled out the form. Like, what is that ratio there? Sales qualified leads generated. If you're trying to generate leads for your sales team, how many of them are coming to you that are qualified, that are really ready to talk to somebody and buy something? What are the opportunities in your pipeline? New customers generated, revenue generated, or resulting profit. Like, these are all key performance indicators, or KPIs, that you should be measuring to see the return on investment of the time and money that you're spending in your marketing. Then when it came to social media, we talked about the purchase funnel and how consumers buy, and first they need to be aware of you, then they start considering you, and then they engage and make a decision. So I wanted to try to get you a map on how that relates to social media. And so here I've got the buyer's journey, and then by objective, what is your strategy on social media? What is the activity that you're doing? What are the KPIs that you're measuring? And then what are the overall impact on your business, right? So this is a quick little map for you to use when you're starting to think about, what is it? Where's the customer in their journey, and how should I be talking to them? And is it working or not? All right. So when you the other things I want you to consider when you measure results are asking customers how they found you, brand awareness. Do people mention you or your business? Like the story, we talked about a story of a roofer that we worked with that said, people said, I see your signs everywhere. When in reality, we only had a couple job sites up and signs up, but that I had him blasted all over everywhere online. So are people seeing you? Are they aware of what you're doing and working on? And then if you buy traditional media, like a print ad or a radio ad or a ad in the chamber booklet or something like that, what I want you to ask for is how many people are reading the publication. Has that gone up or down in the past year? And I can tell you for most of them, they won't tell you, and it's going down. And then look at the rates and see what discounting you can get on the rates, because traditional media, it can be very important. It can also be very expensive and not as effective as digital can. So make sure that you're really asking the right questions. And then if you are doing it to make it work best for you, make sure whatever you're putting in that traditional media is also reflected on your website and on your social media. So if you're advertising something in the newspaper, make sure it's also on your social channel. All right. Now, when it comes to priority setting, as we talked about, make sure you look at where you can have the greatest impact, what you can afford to tackle, and focus on what's going to resonate most with that target audience of yours and aligns with your SMART goals. If your goals were to increase sales of a particular product 20% in the next quarter, make sure that a lot of your marketing efforts are around that particular product so that you can really hit that target. All right, so this has been a lot of information thrown at you today, as well as the past 6 months. I think the most important thing for you now is to really come up with your plan of attack and make it actionable. So develop your plan of attack out of what your goals are. What steps are you going to take to make them happen? How are you going to measure that progress? Because remember, a SMART goal is measurable. And set some milestones, either weekly, quarterly, monthly, so that they don't slip, right? Make sure that you're able to really measure your progress and make sure that you don't get too lost in the weeds and that you keep your eyes on your goals. The next thing is to reach your audience and your SMART goals So map out that marketing calendar, like with some big items on an annual basis and on a monthly basis for social media in particular, but also your blog and email. What are you posting, where, and why? And if you're doing any traditional advertising, get that in there too, so you can make sure that everything aligns. Now I've got two different slides here that are resources for you. And I want to just describe to you really quickly what they are. The first one is, this is called the Viral Assessment for Entrepreneurs. This is a framework created by Village Capital Pathway that is used in the startup space to measure essentially the maturity of a business. And so when you're trying to figure out, like, where is my business on this timeline, where, what would be happening to me and how am I doing? This is a really good framework to use. You'll remember in our first session, we talked about doing like a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, like, where does my business fit in the marketplace? Where am I? Where do I need to go? This is an even more sophisticated framework to help you think about that. And sometimes if you feel like you're struggling, you can look at this and be like, you know what? I'm still in the vision stages. I'm doing just fine, right? You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. But if this kind of thing is interesting to you, this image can be blown up. It is the actual Village Capital Pathway, or you can download it off the MTI website at the link that I've got below and really work with it. The next cheat sheet I have for you, this is it's almost like the periodic table in its design, and they are key metrics that you should be looking at in the different areas, whether it's email marketing, search engine optimization and ads, social, your funnels, budget, website, and more. So these two slides are some really good reference points for you as you're trying to assess your business and measure your results. Okay, so you did it, right? You've made it through 6 months of the Online Marketing Academy, and I'm so proud of you and all the progress that you've made. It's been such a treat working with each of you over the past 6 months, sending you reports, giving you ideas of how you can improve your own marketing, learning more about all of your businesses. It's just been such a treat, and I really have enjoyed it so much. So congratulations to you. I hope that you find all the things that we've shared over the past 6 months to be really helpful. If you did, I'd love a review. You can leave it for Dream Local on our social channels, on Google under Dream Local Digital, or you can leave one for me on LinkedIn or anywhere you find me. I really appreciate it. And if you need more help, we do have a marketing coaching program called Skills Builder. And the Skills Builder Marketing Coach program is designed to work alongside you and help you work smarter, not harder, and also measure your results and give you ideas of what you need to do to take your marketing to the next level. So your coach is going to dive into your analytics with you each month and guide you along the way. If you need more support, you can learn about that at skillsbuilder.dreamlocal.com. And I'd highly encourage you to turn your knowledge into action and make sure that you are, that you're taking some of the things you've learned over the past 6 months and really take some action to help move your business forward. If you need any help with your marketing, if you have any questions later, if there's anything that I can do to help you, let me know. My email is shannon@dreamlocal.com, and you can find us at dreamlocal.com. I'll send out a copy of this recording as well as all the decks and resources to you to your email. And thanks again so much for being here. It's, as I said, it's just been such a pleasure.